This floor-standing Magico M9 loudspeaker weighs 1,000 pounds and costs $750,000 a pair. This is my first time to go to a hi-fi audio show, and there's a lot to unpack. Hello! We are at AXPONA 2025, arguably North America's largest hi-fi audio show. Now, we normally check out small Bluetooth speakers on the channel, but I figured let's explore something a little outside of our depth and go check out the fancy speakers and what all these audiophiles listen to. So basically how it works is the entire hotel is full of different audio listening rooms, and you just choose one and you go in, and they're all very small. There's very little room to work around. Over the course of this audio show, myself and others would get to listen to sound systems from $20,000 all the way up to well past $1 million systems. And I'm going to share with you how that felt and whether or not I think it's worth it. So my first stop on this trip was British speaker manufacturer ATC that was showing off their new SCM20ASL speaker. Now, I know more experienced ears out there would have a different sense of this unit, but this was my first christening into true hi-fi audio, and it was glorious.
When you talk about ATC, what makes them different than most of the other manufacturers is that they're building their own drivers by hand from the ground up.
We use quite large magnets, as you can see. This part here, the grey section, is the ceramic. This is a permanent magnet. I'm struggling to hold this still. It's weighty. This is solid steel. We've got quite a thick
that's solid
magnetic
steel.
Yeah.
It is quite an unusual part, and even today, nobody copies that exactly as it's made. It's unique. No one else in the world has anything like that.
You might think that this water bottle is sitting on top of a static surface, but what if I told you the speaker it's on is going at full blast?
I see that it is full glass.
Yeah, it has one horrible property, and that is the ringing. Wine glass, ding. You put energy in, and then it echoes afterwards, right? You need to get rid of that. So one thing is how we build the whole cabinet, but most importantly is how the drivers are coupled to each other, and the drivers are going like this, so they cancel all the vibrations out.
So what went into your considerations for making this glass?
Glass has three good qualities for building loudspeakers. One is the stiffness. Glass is very stiff. Another thing is that it weighs a lot so that you can get inertia. And then the third good property is the way that the sound wave bounces on the glass. You will get nonlinear distortion.
With all of this innovation, as I sat down from room to room, I started to wonder what the cost of all of these systems would be. And each room had a sheet with a price list.
One of the things I was truly humbled by was the immense expense of the systems at play here. Here's a list of just some of the price ranges you can expect once you're getting into this level of hi-fi audio.
From Germany, these DARC 250 floor-standing speakers are designed based on Euler's formula and stacked with aluminum ribs, costing $250,000 a pair. And this transrotor turntable completely isolates a record from any possible vibration, and it's $200,000. These highly unusual looking speakers are made by MBL, and they are the 101 Mark IIs. They feature a radial Strahler omnidirectional speaker, and that big balloon thing is actually the woofer. If you want one of these, they're $91,000 a pair. And to power each of them, there's a 9011 mono amplifier at $64,000 each. Yes, that's for each one. Bowers & Wilkins flagship 801 series speaker here, which looks kind of like the front of an old-fashioned car, will run you $55,000 a pair. These obelisk-like speakers look like they belong in an art museum. These active loudspeakers will run you $150,000 a pair. This semi-active two-way horn system is the Mezzo G3 and is the absolute top of their line, running you at $103,800 for the pair. They were playing these so loud it actually hurt my ears. These YG XV3 speakers, which sounded phenomenal out in the lobby, will run you $498,000. And coming in at almost 7 feet are the Magico M9s. At 1,000 pounds each, these speakers will run you $750,000. So what does it actually feel like to be sitting there, listening to a sound system that's worth over $1 million? Well, the best I can do is equate it to a nice steak dinner. If you've had hamburgers all your life and you've never had steak, well, once you have it, you'll never forget. But that doesn't mean that other things didn't sound just as good that were way more affordable. Klipsch had their Scala and Cornwall speakers on display, and I've always liked their stuff because it looks like furniture you would have in your house with the wood grain. The Scalas go for just under $15,000 a pair, while the Cornwalls are just under $8,000. SVS's Ultra Evolution Pinnacle, which I've listened to at several shows, goes for under $5,000 for the pair. If you're looking for something without all the wires, Marantz has finally entered the Wi-Fi Bluetooth arena with their Grand Horizon. This thing, with its marble base, weighed about 70 pounds at the show. There's also a little baby boy version here. I was also extremely impressed by the Aspen FR5 from PS Audio. I didn't know that such a full range could come out of something so tiny. Made in Denmark, I couldn't help but notice when I walked by these DynAudio Contour Legacies just how full and good they sounded. They could be yours for about $14,000 for the pair. I'd also been hearing a lot of good things about Kanto's Ora series. I'm a little bit of a sucker for colors, and I'll admit I like the orange and the green, especially on these little Uki speakers that are coming out, and I'd love to try them out on my desktop. If there was one thing that actually left a lasting impression on me at the show, it was the quality of the sound out of these T10 Bespoke earbuds.
Let's take and quiet the world. Right? Quiet!
That's pretty effective.
Okay, and then we'll take you to church.
Oh, yeah. That's phenomenal. That's really good. That's the best. I'm not BSing anybody, but that's probably the best earbud experience I've ever had.
We're just getting started.
And I can't even hear you.
No, you can't hear
The quality of the audio comes from Klipsch's X10 in-ear monitors, combined with Earmicro's own custom chips that allow you to do head motions and actually speak to the earbuds. Not only is the sound good, but Bear Clark is also a bit of a craftsman. You can get the basics for $3,000, but if you want to collaborate and get a custom case, he can do whatever you want.
It feels like everything else has disappeared, and I'm in my own little antisocial bubble.
There's only one screw to take it apart, and you can replace parts. So like a hi-fi system, this could be your last set of earbuds. One consistent thing I was seeing at every level of this show was the insane attention to detail. These RD acoustic panels are designed to absorb the acoustic energy and reduce echo and noise in the interior of any room. And the cables in every room were all lifted off the ground. The idea is that the cable being close to anything can create audio interference. You could do it with a simple block, but people like to be opulent.
The speaker is actually just one component of many others. It's really the voice of the instrument. There's many other things that go into it, including the amplifier, the preamplifier, the record player, and the cables, and a lot of other things that I didn't really know you would consider for audio.
So this is our top-of-the-line speaker cable. The type of copper used is something called Ono continuous cast copper. It provides a crystal structure that allows the signal to pass through with less distortion, and you hear it in terms of musicality. This idea that you have to spend $2,000, $4,000, $8,000, well, if that's what you like, that's fine, but really a lot of the price performance you're going to get is really just with the first couple $100 investment in the cables. Just start out modest.
If you've been wondering what all those boxes are sitting next to the hi-fi speakers, well, those are called amps. And they might not even have buttons on them sometimes. So you might be wondering, what do they even do?
Anything you listen to, whether it's an earbud, a Bluetooth headset, a Bluetooth speaker, has an amplifier. Your phone has an amplifier in it, because if you're hearing sound come through, it's being amplified. This is the M5000, a huge toroid transformer. These big filter capacitors store up charge, so they're temporary batteries. So we put all this current in there. Boards on the side, these are your amplifiers, boards themselves. This is some music, and it's really quiet passage, and all of a sudden there's a big bass drum kick. You have a big boom. Well, that's a big charge of current. This amplifier has to be able to instantly put that current down the speaker wire so the woofer goes out, and that's what makes things sound musical and not distorted. Stuff like that is how good the amplifier is. The highest end audiophiles will use a separate preamplifier and power amplifier.
After learning about the various systems that feed into what makes a high quality audio signal, I was still trying to come to terms with one question. Is it really worth the money that some of these people put into these hi-fi systems for what you're hearing?
For the same reason that people buy bottles of Bordeaux that cost thousands of dollars. If you have the taste for it and the means, it's an experience that you can't get any other way. Yes, it's expensive for a stereo, it's cheap for a time machine. That's the goal of this stuff, is, like I said, is to actually take you back in time to the space and the time when the recording was made. The experience of being able to feel like you're in the room with Elvis or the Beatles or whoever your favorite artists are, that's an experience that is something that you're going to want to have again and again.
Yeah.
It became clear to me that many people here see this as almost a spiritual or religious experience. There is this somewhat insatiable desire, when there is a great work of art, to be as close to the source as possible, to feel the artist's true intentions. I don't even know if you can really get there per se, but the pursuit of it is kind of the point as well. It's hard to put it into words, but there were times when I sat down in front of this YG system that I felt like I was hearing the artist better than would have been possible had I heard them in person. But with the immense expense of these audio systems, you'd have every good reason to be skeptical about whether it's worth it or not. But I will caution you, if you come to a show like this and listen, you may go home and realize nothing you have sounds good anymore. That's why you gotta come and check out one of these audio shows. It's a rare opportunity to meet the vendors and talk to them in person, and you'll meet plenty of people who just love audio.
Is it worth as much money as they're asking in some cases? Well, people have varied opinions here. Some people could care less, other people care a lot. But what I'm learning is that they all sound pretty good. And honestly, if you were to put a $750,000 sound set in front of me versus a $20,000 sound set, I don't know that I have the ears to discern that quality of difference, which is okay. You don't have to subscribe to anyone else's particular set of very specific beliefs. You can listen to something and enjoy it, and that's just fine. And that's kind of what I learned.
One thing I want to stress is that whatever you like to listen to on whatever device is valid. While listening to $1 million sound system, it doesn't necessarily make my life that much better. It's just a nice experience to have. And in a lot of cases, people probably just like to have something that they know is the best. Hopefully it's not about filling any sort of void, because that wouldn't be a healthy relationship with money or material objects. I'm definitely not talking about myself. But the point is, you don't need hundreds of thousands of dollars to have an emotional response to a beautiful song in a beautiful sunset environment driving on the coast of Florida. You can cry happy tears no matter what system you're listening on. A few notable mentions here. Thanks to Cymatics for letting me hear their in-theater home speaker systems, which my earbuds are still rattling from after watching Interstellar. The Schaumburg Renaissance Hotel actually cordoned off this area for this Canada goose to lay its eggs, which is probably legally required, but it was still cool.
Hopefully that helped expand your bubble a little bit, your audio bubble of understanding, so that now you can make it for more, more music stuff, more music choices. I don't know what that means. I'm going off on a tangent here. It doesn't really make sense.
Today's video was sponsored by me. That's right, I paid for the hotel for this and did all the editing and the camera work. And if you want to help me continue to do this stuff in the future, you can subscribe to my channel, give a like, or leave a comment on this video. I'm happy you guys are here, and I'd love to keep doing this. So thanks for helping me out. Bye.